I've been asked a lot about how much money does a billionaire crafter makes, and the truth is, I'm not really so sure. Now, I've been crafting for 7 years now, and most of the things I do are simply automatic. I always know that I'm making profit. Now, in this video, I'll walk you through an hour of my own crafting session and explain step by step and item by item my thought process while crafting. I'll show you how I do my calculations, I'll give you the best tips for you to craft items, and most importantly, explain how to sell them efficiently. Now, I feel that if you understand my mindset when crafting, you will also be able to replicate it in your own niches and eventually make as much or even more profit than I do. Now, before we start crafting, there are a few things that you need to know. The first one, of course, is having a good carry mount. Now, I recommend an ox, especially if you're low on silver. A tier 4 is more than enough. But again, the higher the tier, the better, since you'll be able to carry a lot more materials and items. Now second, you'll also need a little bit of capital, since we are going to have to buy materials and artifacts in order to craft. It does not matter how much you start with. You can do it with 500,000 silver or with 500 million. The only difference is how many items you can craft per batch. Instead of crafting 20 items, you might only be able to craft 2 or 3. So again, 1 million silver is more than enough silver to begin with. Anyways, let's get into it. Now, every single city or every single marketplace works. I tend to ignore the bonus cities, and actually I even avoid them because the return rates on what I do are often quite irrelevant, especially in terms of profit. Now, it's not an extra 10% that will make you absurdly rich, and again, this is my personal preference and other crafters may disagree. But again, this is what works for me now and has always been working for me since the past 7 years. Now, mostly we are going to be looking for items with very high profit margins, around 30 to 40%. So I'm going to start looking by items in the forge category. These items can be found in the top corner of the Destiny board when you're pressing B. There are plenty of categories in the forge, ranging all the way from boots, helmets, swords to shields. Now usually I'll start on one way and go all the way to the end, meaning that I'll start from boots and go all the way to shields, checking again every single item on every single category. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Now we are going to look for the production cost of every single item, and there are 3 ways that you can do this. The first one is the manual way, which is adding up all the material costs, multiplying them by the return rate, and finally adding the artifact cost. Now, this takes quite a while, especially if you're a newer player. The second way is the way that I often do it, which is using an Excel sheet that does everything for you, which is exactly what I do when I'm feeling very lazy. Now, I have my own spreadsheet that has every single item in it, and the only thing that you have to do is input the values and it will give you the total cost of every single item. Then you have to simply compare this value to the selling price, and if it's profitable, then of course you make it. And then the third way, which is the one that I actually use the most and often confuses people, it's by doing it mentally. Now, I've been doing this for so many years that I can just look at the sell price of an item and I'll immediately know if it's profitable or not. Now this, of course, comes with experience and good understanding of the markets, since items tend to stay fairly stable in price. Now a good example for this, if I crafted a taproot last week for 50,000 silver, and this week it's selling for 100,000, I instantly remember that it's a good item to make, because again, the price changed quite a little bit. But again, the more you craft, the better you'll become at doing this. Now when it comes down to crafting, I always go for artifact items, since they are usually the most profitable ones for me. Now I'll start at the top of the Destiny board, first checking boots, armors, and helmets. Very quickly I'll spot profitable items such as Demon Boots 4.3 and Demon Boots 4.2. So I click on them, I check the materials needed. In this case, I already knew it, but it's 8 bars and 1 artifact called Demonic Filling. Then I just buy these items straight in the marketplace and I leave them in my inventory. Now since I'm crafting many different types of items, what I usually like to do is write down exactly what I need to craft. So I'll just say Demon Helmet 4.3 or Demon Boot 4.3 times 10, meaning that I know exactly that I'm going to make 10 Demon Boots into 4.3 category. And this will basically make that I avoid mistakes like crafting, for example, 4.1 boots, which don't give any profit. Now I'll keep cycling through the list until I find my major first issue, the lack of cloth 4.2. Now this means I won't be able to make any items that require cloth, leaving me with two options. I can either make them 4.1 and upgrade them with souls in the artifact foundry, or I can skip them entirely. Now this might sound really bad, but I'm extremely lazy, so I would rather not make them than spend the extra effort to enchant them. But again, this is still a valid option if you have the patience to do it. Now, once you've checked all the different items in the marketplace and you've bought everything that you need, it's time to craft. However, there are a few things that you should do beforehand. The first thing is buying salads. Now, these increase the quality of your crafts, meaning that you are more likely to get masterpieces and excellent quality items that sell for way more silver. Now the second thing that you have to do is get journals. Now these fill up automatically as you craft. They can either be bought in cities or your islands if you have the labor in them. Now in this case, they are very expensive in the city, so I decided to just buy them on my island. And the best part is, if you don't use them all, you can just sell them later for a profit if you know they're overpriced. Now that we have everything ready, we can finally start crafting. You should always go to the station that's furthest away. And why is that? Because that one usually is also the cheapest. Now to find them, it's very easy. You open the map, you right click the right station, in this case the Warrior's Forge, and you'll just see which one has the fee that's the lowest. In this case, it's the one that's furthest, which is also the one I'm associated with. That means that I'm gonna even get more reduced taxes. So that's the one we go. So we can mount up and make our way into that station. Now when you're crafting, you cannot take every single item that you buy. And why is that? Because your inventory has very limited space. So you have very few slots when you're crafting. So that means that you won't have enough room for all of your crafts at once. So generally speaking, what I recommend is for you to leave around 24 empty spaces. Now you'll need to make multiple trips, which is honestly a very good opportunity when you're crafting. Because a lot of the times you'll miss a few materials or a few artifacts. So you can always go back to the city and the marketplace and get some few more. In this case, I missed a couple of cloth, so very quickly I went to the marketplace and I bought a little bit extra. In this case, I also forgot to use the All Hallows trait, which is the event item that increases all the fame gain by 15% for 30 minutes. Now this item is exclusive to the Halloween event, meaning that it won't be able to be used once the event is over. So we have to take the best advantage of the situation that we're currently in. Now every year in Albion there's a few events that give you these items, so make sure to use them and abuse them. Why exactly is this trait so good, for example? Because it allows you to get a spec faster, which is very important, especially if you're using focus. After making several trips and crafting everything that we set ourselves to craft, you'll clearly see if you've made any mistakes by checking the estimated market value. Now this is by far not the most accurate way to see if you made money or not. But in this case, it's fairly clearly that we went from 40 million silver to 60 million. So this in an hour session means that we made around 20 million silver. If you don't trust the estimate, what you can do is just confirm by adding up all the items that you made when you're selling. So if this gives you around 60 million, which was the case, that means you actually made this money in raw. Now when you're listing items, I always recommend that you set up your price 1 silver lower than the others. And always place a sell order instead of sell instantly. This way, you'll make sure that you're making way more money. And I personally list all my items in the marketplace since they sell fairly quick. But some people prefer to list smaller quantities and either transport them on other cities or place them again once they're sold so they're not outlisted and outcompeted by other people. But again, this is also something that comes down from personal preference. Since I don't have a lot of patience, I just put everything in the marketplace and I just wait a few days for everything to be sold. Now some items, like the masterpieces, they sell extremely well at certain tiers, but not others. So for example, the demon boots and the unbreakable wars that we made, which were 4.1 and 4.2, they had to be upgraded to 4.3 quality so they would sell faster. So the only thing that we had to do was buy a few souls, a few relics, and head to the foundry, which was very easy to do, and a couple 100,000 extra silvers in our pockets. Now, whenever I'm crafting or doing anything, I'm always paying very close attention to the trade chat and the say chat, since often you can find very good deals here. In this case, I saw someone selling items that were supposedly costing around 3 million silver, and he was selling them for only 1, which honestly caught my attention. However, sometimes these deals are too good to be true, so you have to be always very careful when doing it. Now, I traded with a guy and I checked what he was selling, and he was selling 2 things: skins and chests. Now, the skins I knew were cheap, around 300,000 silver, but the 377 chests that were tier 2 were very suspicious. So what I did was I canceled the trade, I quickly checked the marketplace, and I knew right away it was a scam, because their value was inflated in the estimate market value. And they would only be worth around 1 million silver total if they were sold in the marketplace. So as you can imagine, I did not take this trade. In conclusion, in this hour we made a little bit over 20 million silver, which is honestly really good. Now some people will probably say that I didn't make 20 million silver, but I made items worth 20 million silver that haven't been sold yet. And the reality is that Albion is very similar to what you'll find in real life. And of course, I haven't sold them yet, but they will eventually sell. And this is like Apple producing iPhones and putting them up for sale. They will not all sell in one day, but after a few days, of course they will, because it's iPhones. It's very important that you understand that Albion has inflation, and it's very important that you use your silver and you invest it on things that give you good returns. Crafting is one of the best ones, at least if you're very good at it. So you need to understand that when you're crafting, on the beginning, it's going to be very hard, because just like anything in Albion, on the beginning, you're going to struggle. It will feel rough, it's going to be hard, and of course, you won't be the best crafter right away. And if you don't find profit right away, don't stress too much and keep going and keep trying, because eventually you'll be making millions and millions every single day. So anyways guys, that's about it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. If you want to get premium, make sure to join my Discord link down below, where we host active premium giveaways every single day of the week. And if you want to get the spreadsheet that I talked about in the video, make sure to check out my Patreon. The link is down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. That is it for me, and I'll see you on the next one. Nendys out.